Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, thank you very much for coming out tonight. How are you all doing tonight? Of course, as we get started, I do want to say hello to everybody. Palm Patrol, I see that you left a message and saying hello before I even got started tonight. Miss Justice, thank you very much. Jazzy Jewel, thank you, thank you. Hippie Grandma, thank you. Who said what? Hello, how are you? Long time no see. Laura Aragon, I apologize if I mispronounced that. Thank you very much for coming out. Pen 1010, thank you as always. Radmilla Rickson, thank you very much for coming out. Sugar Mama, hello, how are you? Daddlin' 2, the legendary, thank you. And TCC Dumplin, hello Dumplin, how are you? Yes, I know I have not sent you an email. I just remembered today, and it is, look, this has been a bad tech week for me, and I've been just like, bleh, with tech this week. I mean, like, issues with work tech, issues with home tech. We had internet go out here where I live today at 2 o'clock, and called Spectrum, and they told me it was going to be out until 6 p.m. because fiber optics had taken a hit, and it was basically the whole entire East Coast that was affected by it. And they were actually saying it could be 2 to 3 days before it was back, but thankfully it was by 4 o'clock it was back, or no, by 3 o'clock it was back. But anyway, yeah, it's been a bad tech week for me, so I haven't forgotten Dumpling. It's going to be saying, just hold on. Let's see here. Fine Summer's True, thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. Vanna Reeves, thank you very much for coming out. I've missed all you, talking to you all and hearing from you all, and of course that's why I'm back. Betty Smith, thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate you. Of course, we are going to be talking about Summer Wells, and that's the reason we are here. Even though some channels will try to proclaim that Summer's army is dead, Summer's army needs to be stopped. Summer's army continues on. Summer Moon, Utah Wells, 6/15/2021, Rogersville, Tennessee. White female, blonde hair, blue eyes, 40 pounds, 3 feet tall. Last seen wearing gray pants, pink shirt, possibly barefoot. Please contact 423-272-7121, which I believe is Hawkins County Sheriff Department, or 1-800-TBI-FINE. That's right, Vanna Reeves. We are not stopping until Summer is found. Look, tonight I'm putting a major trigger warning on the live. I'm going to explain what that is about with this simple statement. If you are a victim of SA, if you are a victim of being trafficked, if you are a victim of DV, this may not be the live for you tonight. Just going to be honest and upfront. This is going to be a very hard live to hear. This is going to be a very hard live to hear tonight, because All three of them are wrapped into this so densely. And you'll understand in a moment what I mean by that. She ran calling wildfire. Thank you very much for coming out. Liplock, I do appreciate you being here. Very, very much. Robin N, thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. But as we get started, folks, please hit that like button. This is the subscribe button. This is the kind of content that we need to be talking about when it comes to Summer Wells. When it comes to what happened to Summer. Not only what happened to Summer, what can happen when a child gets trafficked. Hair curls in crime, thank you very much for coming out. Kate, thank you. I appreciate you being here. Dolores Hayes, thank you very much. Just chilling, thank you very much. Absolutely. This is all about Summer's Army. And understanding, while these things may not have happened to Summer, it's still totally conceivable that a child that has been trafficked can go through this. Country Girl, thank you very much for coming out. I do appreciate you being here. And Ellie1, hello, how are you? Yeah, I don't know what happened with Burn Barrel. Something happened where all of a sudden she flipped to being in favor of the Wells, the Don and Candace Wells. I don't get it. I'll make the statement again. The longer the investigation goes on into Summer Wells, I personally believe that the target surrounding the Wells is getting larger and larger and more focused on them and not externally. That's my opinion on this. I know my opinion may not be the most popular thing in the world, but it's how I feel right now. I also feel that lately that I never believed or never thought that that video I did on if Mary was correct, although I made the presentation as best as I could for you all, I really didn't believe that that was a possibility. But I've gone back and watched that, and I've listened to what my points were. Well, I'm not still not saying that is what happened. That it comes across to me as that is a stronger possibility now. Kathy K, thank you for coming out. I do appreciate you being here. I am blessed with great mods who have a huge passion, probably bigger than my passion, for wanting to know the truth about a missing child. The other night, this video, from everything I understand and have looked for, is now hidden behind a paywall. And you all know how I feel about that. If you're going to go ahead and make a video, leave it be on Front Street so everybody can see it. Don't hide it behind a paywall. I understand that, you have members, you make members' lives, and so on and so forth. But this is just ridiculous. As soon as it was over, it was behind the paywall. Vet Girl, thank you very much. Vet Girl, this is on Don and Candace's favorite channel to go run to anytime anything happens. And no, I'm not saying the sour cream brand on purpose. Because every single time you mention that person's channel, she tries to claim intellectual product or intellectual property when it's not. Gaelic Girl, thank you very much for coming out. No problem, Vet Girl. No problem. The other night, while she was live and didn't have it behind a paywall, she had somebody come up on panel. And granted, I'm not saying go watch this. It's marred in drama and this, that, and the other. That was just complete BS. Lip lock no more. Yes, exactly. The video was marred in drama and BS, and it was the things that were said on that live were mostly unnecessary. And should have never been put on YouTube. See something, say something. Thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate you doing so. Lisa Kleckner, thank you very much for coming out. Squirrely Girl, thank you very much for coming out. I don't know if I said hi to you or not, but thank you very much. Of course, everybody, please, again, do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Miss Justice. Oh, you hit the proverbial nail of the nail on the head. You're right, Lip Lock. It was complete asinine. It was unnecessary for YouTube. But we're not here to talk about the whole entire live. We're here to talk about one particular person that he pretends to be YouTube's radio station. And if you follow true crime, you know who exactly I'm speaking of. The YouTube radio station. Swin, thank you very much. Huntress, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. There's one particular moment that caught my attention among all the drama and the BS that was going on. And yes, I was not innocent in it. I did make comments about what was going on and when it was happening. But the radio station wannabe said something that caught my attention. And it took me 10 minutes of research to prove the opposite of what he was saying. I quote, what he says, as being no child has ever been trafficked because of a debt on drugs. There are no cases where parents traffic their own child to pay a debt off for drugs. As he later clarified. Again, folks, I apologize. This is not going to be an easy live tonight. Let's just take a look at this first. Oops, sorry. Bear with me a moment here. Erase childtrafficking.org. Statistics show 46 children in America are taken and sold into slavery per day. Who are these children? Are they criminals and runaways, vagrants and orphans? The truth is that traffickers do not discriminate when it comes to who they choose to target. Trafficking occurs in poor neighborhoods and affluent suburbs, urban centers, and rural areas. No child, family, or community is without the need of awareness and protection from when it comes to avoiding the terrible effects of child trafficking. Where do these children go? It happens to a child once. What happens to a child once they've been forced into a trafficking situation? Some are immediately put on airplanes and sent to other countries. Others are sent to meet demands in cities and states around the U.S. Sending stolen children to other areas also helps traffickers also avoid the possibility of the children being recognized locally. As a result, many traffickers will operate at airports and other transportation hubs. Where they can take a child and be miles away within minutes. Remember I said that video about Mary, that what if Mary was right? What if Mary was right? We specifically looked at Greenville, Tennessee, a Greyhound station, about how a bus leaves Greyhound at that station at 5:30 p.m., which Don kept saying 5:30 p.m. "5:30 p.m. A bus station." You're right, Scrawly Girl. A bus station. And other transportation hubs. Makes you start to think, was Mary right? I mean, was she really, really right? It's possible. Human trafficking statistics. In the U.S. continue to rise. Unfortunately, statistics often diminish the humanity they are meant to define as the as the core of these statistics is a human being who experienced an event, milestone, or tragedy. They are your sons, daughters, neighbors, and friends. This is why I started off tonight saying, folks, this is going to be a hard life if you were a victim of trafficking, if you were a victim of SA, if you were a victim of DV. This is exactly why I'm saying this is going to be a hard life. They are painting a bleak picture that nobody is not affected or the possibility of affected by trafficking. Every year, traffickers lure children and vulnerable individuals into forced labor or S-word trafficking situations. This problem isn't exclusive to other countries. It happens here in the United States every day. Victims can come from any walk of life. Traffickers will prey on vulnerability or vulnerable children, from runaway troubled teens to child left alone. Okay. I'm going to go after this stream. I am posting the link to the erase child trafficking. These are just some information I wanted to share statistically wise that, my God, 46 people a day, almost 2 an hour. And a global study by the United Nations identified trafficked persons originated from 106 countries of over 17,000 victims. Make sure you can see that. 17,000 victims. 28% were children, with girls outnumbering boys. When I saw that, I instantly said, damn. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, of more than 23,500 endangered runaways reported in 2018. Yes, these statistics are 5 years old, but I don't believe they changed any. 1 in 7 were likely victims of child trafficking. For anybody that would like to read more on this, I'm going to go ahead and post this. It goes into a little bit of a detail that I don't want to get into with talking about S-word trafficking. I will post it here and pin it to the top. And again, like I said, it will be also be and after my stream tonight, all of my sources will be added to the live, the description of the live. If anybody wants to look up this information for themselves. These numbers are way too high. Way too high. They should be 0 children. Going to stop sharing just for a moment here, folks, and we're going to go right back to another website page in a moment here. This is where we really start to go into disprove this other person that said that no parent traffics their own child. Laura Grin, I do not believe that it was in my heart, I don't believe it was a trafficking situation or a kidnapping situation. The FBI car team came to Tennessee and made a decision based upon information they had that there was no possibility of this being a kidnapping or trafficking situation. I believe that this was actually in my heart, in my mind, brother. I believe that this was a situation where it was an accident that the parents have covered up. Somebody has covered up. Gaelic girl, what's the question? Because you're not going to get me in trouble. As much as this whole topic tonight, and we're going to go back into it in just a second, just give everybody a chance a little bit to de-escalate their everybody emotions, because this is an emotionally rough night, and I'm sorry, it just, there is no way of getting around this. So if you have a question, please go ahead and Gaelic girl, ask so I can answer. Oh, okay. Well, you're welcome to talk about Tim. So you mentioned Tim because we're going to take a look at that, even as they've already, other channels have already done so. We're going to take a look at that tonight. Jam 420, how are you? No, don't worry about it. You might want to go back a little bit and take a look at what I've put out there so far, past 5 minutes or so, but you're good. Again, this is all about why it's so critical. Mary Glick, how are you doing? No, there's not really anything new. It's just somebody made a statement that I consider one of those moments where open mouth and stupidity falls out. And we're taking a look at how the possibility is actually the opposite of what this person said. Of course, let's not forget Summer Moon, Utah Wells. We are going to get back to why this is important to realize when it comes to summer. And I don't care if somebody else makes makes a big to do out of what I'm doing tonight, tomorrow. I don't care. We need to look at this, because if it's not just summer, it's somebody else, some other child. And Mary Glick, thank you for. I'm doing good, thank you. That this could happen to some other child. News station WJAHC, and I'm probably going to butcher this the initials of this channel once again, so bear with me on this. WJAC, January 30th, 2020, posted an article. Bear with me one moment here. There it is. My apologies, folks. Again, I'm just making sure I find the links and show them to you. Officials, parents selling own children into human trafficking. But this doesn't happen. This can't possibly happen. Blair County, Pennsylvania. Forget where Blair County is. I don't think I've ever been to Blair County, so I couldn't tell you. There are an estimated 100,000 to 150,000 child S workers in the U.S. Child S workers? Wow. The common perception of human trafficking often involves a kidnapping. Someone is taken from their home, tossed into a vehicle, and forced into, well, you see that word. I think that's one of the wordy-gurdies that you can't say on YouTube, so I'm not saying it, but you can see it on the screen. Make sure I'm just sharing this. Bear with me a moment. There you go. Now you can see the word I'm not saying. Though they don't yet know the exact numbers, Blair's officials in Blair County said some kids are being bought and sold from their own homes. Being bought and sold from their own homes. We have an idea in our head about what trafficking is. We've all seen it. Hollywood version of trafficking. I'm not going to try to pronounce her name. Ashley, director of Victim Services and Family Services Inc. But what's not being explored much is what trafficking looks like at a local community level. Ashley said human trafficking is happening not out on a street corner, but behind closed doors. We are seeing more and more cases of trafficking and exploitation here in Blair County. I honestly think that Blair County is a small community, or the small county that is between Harrisburg and Pittsburgh, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong where it is in Pennsylvania, but it's not the most populated area out there. That's very mountainous. There was another point in here that I wanted to point out. Bear with me. Parents selling their children for money or goods like drugs. I constantly say, be careful who you listen to. 10 minutes of research. Ten minutes. I found this information in 10 minutes, folks. That's trafficking someone, but the person is home for dinner or homework in the evening. Basically bartering their children or giving their children to someone else for S. For any type of S favors for photography or videos of their children of a S nature in order to then get money in return or drugs in return. What did the YouTube radio station Want to Be say? That no parent is doing this. Not for drugs, but here it is, black and white. In order to then get money in return or drugs in return. And in case, just in case, just in case it's not clear enough that a organization in a, I believe, a small county in Pennsylvania, Blair County, is saying this, we take a look at this. The headline alone says enough. Woman suspected of selling 14-year-old girl for S and child P. This is one time that I don't care about showing a victim or care about showing the person that did this or their name. This is the KATU television station, Pensacola, Florida. A 38-year-old woman was booked into Florida jail for an alleged case of child abuse and human trafficking. According to the arrest warrant, February 24th, a Florida Department of Law Enforcement agent was contacted by Homeland Security investigator regarding an ongoing investigation into human trafficking. During the investigation, special agents determined that this wonderful woman allegedly sold a 14-year-old female for S and child P. The arrest warrant states that this wonderful woman, and please do note there's dripping sarcasm there, was selling the minor for $500 for the purpose of S. The arrest warrant says investigators found messages between this wonderful woman and male suspects who allegedly S abused the victim. The woman is in Escambia County jail on a $770,000 bond. Not enough. And that article that I just read to you was 5 days ago. This wasn't years ago. This wasn't decades ago. 5 days ago. 5 days. I'm being asked who said that. the person that made the statement on Sour Cream's farm was white boy. Crystal, I do appreciate you being here. Please, thank you very much. Thank you, Karma's Queen. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. There you go, folks. Another child sold for drugs. Now, I did speed read that article. Didn't want to focus too much time on it. It wasn't a lot to say about what happened. But 5 days ago, we have major issues in our country. Major issues in our country. Some we don't talk about here. Because we don't talk about politics and things like that. We do, however, talk about what happens to kids when they go missing. And as much as a horrifying topic that this is, that a parent must endure, in the end, sometimes it's the parents or adoptive parents that are actually the worst monster in that child's life. The monster that a child should only have to worry about is the monster in their imagination of what's under the bed or in the closet or in the basement in dark. Live Luck No More. Yes, exactly. Population of less than 8,000 kept her two daughters, both preschoolers, in dog kennels and used them as currency for math. Intentionally mispronounced, but math. You said kept in dog kennels, and instantly my mind is Cassidy. Some of us have been around for with each other for a long time. And instantly my mind, when I hear that, I think of Cassidy. She's a woman out of, I believe, Indiana. That, yes, Miss Kitty, exactly. Cassidy Rainwater. That if you've not heard of her story and what happened to her, I'm not going to go into the details of it tonight. One of these days, because it's for some reason it's been in the news lately about what happened. I'll have to look into it and do a story on her again. It's very touchy to me to do a story on her, and that's a whole different Missouri. My apologies, I said the wrong state. Thank you, Miss Kitty. I'll have to do a story on her again because she's been in the news, or her story's been in the news lately, or going around freshly around YouTube. But a channel that I originally started out with being as a sidekick for somebody, we had talked about her. And my goodness, she was trafficked in a whole different way. Forgive me, folks. I'm just going to take a sip of water real quick. Appreciate your patience with me. Hello, Bailey. Thank you for coming out. Where Summer 1-800-TV find? A lot of people do not want to know what happened to her. A lot of people do not want to know who her who the two men that met her demise did. But I will say that this much tonight, that she actually did not only get SA'd, but she also was a victim of cannibalism. BB Diamond, I will take a look at that. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and mark that so I can grab those names later. Thank you. I apologize as I see my the people that are here waver a bit as I'm talking, and I take a momentary break and just let everybody absorb and to mellow for a moment, because I'm even struggling with this one tonight, and I prepared for this 2 days ago, and over the course of yesterday. I do have more information. As I said, it took me 10 minutes to research this. Let's skip over to the United Kingdom. Thank you, The Guardian, for this article. Over 1,100 children trafficked into UK drug trade, data shows. Yes, this article is more than 3 years ago. However, it still stands to show you that these are very real, and not only third world, second world problems. They're happening in your own backyard. This is why those first 24 hours are so critical when it comes to a child being missing. This is 2019, information from 2019. 2018 as well. More than 1,100 children have been trafficked into the UK's drug trade, new Home Office figures reveal. The data obtained by the drug reform charity Transformation shows that 1,173 children were enslaved by drug dealers in 2019. Figures from January to December 2019 show that the majority of the 1,853 people estimated at the Home Office have been trafficked into the illicit drug business were children. Transform obtained the Home Office statistics through a Freedom of Information request and released them on Thursday to mark the UN's World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. Charity said the number of children trafficked into the drug dealing in Britain had dramatically increased from 2018 and was increasing problem, and blamed the rise on the growing nation focus on county lines, drug operations across the UK. It's not just a problem in the United States. This is a worldwide problem. Let's take a look at another country. Another country. We're going to take a look at a little bit different information on this. This article comes from the New York Post. And it's dated March of 2021. This is going to get into a little bit more of an explanation, and we'll define how the only reason that the person that said this could technically be right. I have issues with the way they define this, but it's still fair to present the other side of the story, other information, even if it's contradicting what we're talking about slightly. Hidalgo County, Texas. Mexico's ruthless drug cartels are using helpless children as decoys to smuggle their members into the U.S. Courtesy of the Biden administration's relaxed immigration policies, law enforcement told the Post. The drug thugs, that is what the article calls them, that's not what I'm calling them, are already making a killing off the border crisis, jacking up their fees to smuggle the growing flood of people into the country, and now making more money on humans than they are on the drug side. said Hidalgo County Sheriff J.E. Gurura, and I forget if I mispronounced that, I'm sorry, from the front lines of the U.S. immigration battle in Texas. But the cartels also are furthering exploitations, the disastrous situation by splitting up kids from their wannabe immigrant parents, then having them pose as the children's relatives to cross the border. So now with the family units coming across, you might have a mother come in, say a mother with 3 children. Well, the cartels say you can cross with 1 child. We're going to take 2 children and we're going to use those children to smuggle to others and pretend they are family units. But that's not the only thing that when they're coming across the border, they're doing. They're using the children as a decoy. And again, I'm just summarizing this article some. In smuggling to not only smuggle an individual, but at the same time, they're attempting to bring illegal drugs into the country. But some of the youthful drug criminals have made a key mistake trying to disguise themselves. The cartel guy, he'll take off his shirt and blend in with the rest of them, but he doesn't have muddy shoes. He's got cleaner clothes. He doesn't smell. That's a clue for the authorities that they may not be on the up and up. Because they are doing it this way, masking it by smuggling, coming into the United States, it's not considered to be human trafficking. It's considered to be smuggling. And that's what this article is defining, is that as it's coming into the United States from Mexico, it's not part of human trafficking, it's smuggling. Anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 for every single body, and you put the number to it, and you figure how much money they're making. Because they're involving drugs and other illegal ways, they're that put up that money to pay for them to be smuggled into the United States. It is part of human trafficking. Again, thank you, New York Post, for your March 21st, 2020 article. I believe it is. March 22nd, 2021 article. We have one more article to look at tonight. Again, we're not going to read the full thing. This comes from the crimereport.org. crimereport.org. Again, this is talking about Mexico coming into the United States. The youngest traffickers, how drug cartels exploit children. And I'm going to double check to make sure I'm sharing this one. Youngest traffickers. How drug cartels exploit children. A 15-year-old child boards a train alone at a major transit hub in England and approaches a ticket collector to ask directions. The child is alone and appears lost, but has a wad of cash, which they flash to buy food. I apologize. So it was Mexico, but it appears to be the UK. I didn't pick that up as first. When approaching a transit police officer at the request of staff, the child is nervous and confused. A search reveals a few £100 sterling in cash, 50 wraps of cocaine, and a knife, and a mobile phone. The child is arrested and taken into custody. Again, we have it where right there. A child being arrested. Their age profile of their targets is usually between 13 and 17 years of age. Bear with me 1 second. I believe there was one other thing I wanted to point out in this article. It was recognized early that the children are being forcibly exploited for drug couriering are victims of the criminals, and it is not always in the best interest of justice to prosecute them. They are almost always frightened and intimidated, and their exploitation is based on fear of violence, SV, and other threats of themselves or family members. Once in custody, the safeguard of the child becomes the priority of the charity and social services, whilst the task force officers conduct the investigation to arrest the organized crime group members. How can you not say it's not happening? It's not just happening here in the United States. It's happening internationally. Hello, when Evil entered, I want to thank you for coming out. It's happening internationally. This is the kind of thing that infuriates me to no end. "10 minutes of research." Vet girl. Exactly. And that's pretty much the statistic that's held true for every single state. It may not be exactly 42%, but it's close. I'm telling you, that is close. that familial trafficking is the biggest part of trafficking. Again, folks, I'm not coming on here saying tonight this is what happened this summer. It goes back to the video that I said, what if Mary was right? And that was an interview that she had done on the lab, or with the lab, on when she called in. Selena Dixon, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming in tonight. "10 minutes of research gave me enough information to show you tonight that this happens. Children are trafficked for drugs, for debt payments, for SA purposes. And it's disgusting because it's the parents that are doing it. No wonder it spread like wildfire about Don Wells's history, Candace's history, the rampant and drug use and drunken nature that they were going on lives. The monsters that children should have to worry about are the imaginary monsters that are under their bed, in a closet, or under the stairs of a basement, or hiding behind a boiler in a basement. Not their parents. Not their parents. Oh, Candace is speaking. Laura, Candace is speaking. But she won't talk about her daughter. She will not talk about Summer Moon Utah Wells. Don Wells does speak. He called in to share Voices Behind the Wall, if anybody wants to know that channel, just the other night. And on a speakerphone near a microphone, he was talking. No matter the technicality of what he did, he was told to stay off of YouTube. But sure enough, there he was on YouTube. Folks, I just pinned at the top a link for StreamYard. If anybody wishes to join me, you are more than welcome to. I have known from day one of hearing what happened with Summer Wells. And my personal gut instinct, this has everything to do with the parents and not anything to do with anybody outside of Ben Hill Road. Liplock, you're exactly right. Don's inability to stay off YouTube is an indicative of his compulsive, impulsive personality. He lacks self-control. You're exactly right. I was asked a moment ago if the Wells have a hearing tomorrow. From what I understand, the answer to that is no. Because of what's going on in Hawkins County, with the judge being being charged with the charges, if you've not heard, going around YouTube the past couple days, that there is no family court right now. They're waiting for other dockets in other counties to be freed up, where they can have a rotation of a judge or two, a few judges come in and have family court, and they will reschedule and get them in as almost immediately once that is done. I apologize to everybody that tonight was really an information dump. And it could be a little bit dry on information dumps. But this information had to be put out there. I'm in no way trying to be up here saying I'm right. I know every single detail. But when people open their mouths and don't do research, hey, Kate, I see you waving. When people don't take the 10 minutes to research, I could have been a little bit longer. I could have estimated that a little bit differently, but it really did not take a whole lot of time to find that information. Well said, vet girl. Well said. No, Dumpling, I think you misunderstand what I was apologizing for. I was apologizing that doing information dumps like this tonight can be very dry and turn a lot of people away. And I'm not apologizing that I researched and found this information and I'm wanting this information to be out there because it needs to be. It's just that if it came across being dry, that's what I was apologizing for. Brady's crime chat. Yes, actually, you did. You'll want to go and catch us on replay. I don't know if it's Knoxville. Don't think they. Honestly, that would be a bit for, in my opinion, just my opinion. Might actually be a bit of a stretch because then you got to. That's an hour and a half away, roughly. If you go down backwards, and probably can be done in about an hour and 15, a little bit less than an hour and 15. But you have judges that are closer by. Closer by Washington County, you have Sullivan, Carter County, you have Greene County, there's a lot of counties that are much closer. Real Rock and Robin, exactly. And that's exactly why I'm the person. It says be careful of who you listen to. The parents want to go about and make it be that, or make it look like if you don't listen to who they only go to and Tim for your information about Summer Wells, then you're getting misinformation. But it's a complete opposite. If you go to those channels, that's where the misinformation is. Again, if anybody wants to jump up and join me, there's a link at the top. You're more than welcome to do so. This is your time to come up and join and speak. Exactly, Jazzy Jewel. Exactly. They want you to cling on to every single thing they say as if they're the most important people on YouTube speaking. Jam 420, I appreciate you doing so, or willing to do so. Hope you feel better very soon. Oh, it doesn't make me question their motives. I can tell you what their motives are: money, money, money. Money, money, money. Clicks and views. That's all they want. They want your money. I started off tonight with saying the video that I'm talking about was immediately put out behind a paywall. It was put behind a paywall. Karma's Queen, for a long time, I did not have the viewpoint I have now. I believe that it is time for fresh eyes to come in. And I don't mean to take over the investigation. I mean, just to sit down, take a look at the notes, take a look at everything that has been, all the information, all the evidence that they have, and just sit there and go, hey, did you look at it? Did you take a look at this piece of information? If not, this is standing out to me. It's time for that to happen. Perception and the perception that the other person and experience that the other person can bring can just blow the case open for all we know. Liplock, we'll have to set up something on a Sunday or a Tuesday when I'm off from my 9 to 5, and it'll be earlier in the day, and we won't have to worry about that. Or even on a Saturday or early evening, we'll have to do something because, man, people will be talking about that for days. Let me just put it that way. H needs the peace of mind. I know you're talking amongst yourselves with this, but H needs the peace of mind to know justice happened for Summer so he can stop blaming himself. Because I really, really do believe that he still blames himself. Yes, Baby Diamond, exactly. Yep, that's her third tier, $24.99. $24.99. But she makes no money off of making videos on YouTube. Summer Moon, Utah Wells. If you remember way back, it was almost a major division among Summer's army of people that believe Summer was either SA victim or a trafficking victim or none at all. Well, we still don't know that answer, and that's an answer where we probably will never know. The reality was very real. The potential was there. That if she was sold, if she was human trafficked, if Mary was right, there's a very real possibility that she could have gotten trafficked or SA'd. Elisa P., I don't believe that was the case. Maybe to bribe him to be there and not go home as quickly as he when as or as early as he possibly could have. Sure, but I believe Candace used H. Sorry, almost said his name. I believe that Candace used H to give Summer a very real story and prove that she was alive and with them in the morning. I still believe that 100%. Vicar, I believe you're right. They said the card team, FBI card team, said that they ruled it out as a possibility. But Detective Pruitt said that they have not ruled anything. After it went on for a year investigating it. They're saying they have not ruled out anything, even though they have no evidence to prove that it happened. That's what the card team said. No evidence that it was an abduction. But they never 100% ruled it out. Exactly. They're ruling in something. That target is getting larger and larger. The center of that target is larger and larger every single day. Let's see here. Just going back, make sure I'm not missing any comments. I believe the chat here, you guys are talking about Andy Hilt some. Or Andrew Hilt, whatever his name is. The supposed father of H. Louisiana Girl 61, I do see you in the chat. I want to say hello and thank you very much for being here tonight. I agree with what Carrie said, that Andrew Hilt hasn't actually started anything. He's followed up with information, but he hasn't started anything. Nothing that they are not already aware of. Yeah, Giselle, yes, they are. They're allowed to leave Ben Hill Road, but there is no restriction on Candace of where she can go or how far from Ben Hill Road she can go. But there is supposed to be a restriction on Don Wells of how far he can go without written permission from the county. I'll just leave it as that. Yes. By not ruling out, they're ruling in something. They know something and are not releasing it to the public. And for good reason. I didn't watch The Lab last night. I didn't watch The Lab last night. But I heard, let me just rephrase that and say, not in entirety that I watched The Live last night. But I watched just enough to find out that old Timmy boy wrote a letter or tried to write a letter, put an essay on the Find Summer Wells website. Hello, Justin for all. Thank you very much. Yes, old Timmy boy, Liplock. Justin for all, thank you very much for coming in tonight. I appreciate you doing so. I apologize. I booted myself out of the studio. So, for obvious reasons, and I'll be honest, this is the first time I've actually read this. I've not looked into this before to this moment. We're going to take a look what old Timmy Boy has to say. And if he's actually making sense again, or is he trying to still coin phrases that make no sense? Oh, come on, cooperate with me. Okay. It's not wanting to cooperate with me. My apologies. There we go. It's time to investigate Hawkins County DCS and the Wells case. Well, Tim, thanks for joining us. We've been doing so for a while now. We've been doing so for a while now, Tim. This is not new. Again, I apologize. This website is just so wonderful. On June 14th, 2021, there are 4 children living living their American lives with their DNA parents. Well, DNA parents is probably the best thing you could call them. But in reality, it's DNA donors. At their home on Ben Hill Road in Hawkins County, Tennessee. We don't know who or what situation took the one of 4, the one girl, Summer Wells, away from her family. Oh my God, Tim! Really? Come on now. We don't know if Summer was the intended child on the radar that day. The possibilities are in the hands of the TBI and FBI as they continue to professionally handle this case. We do know that after Summer disappeared, that took the other children? 75%, 3 children, the boys we know. 25%, 1 child, Summer, we don't know. Tim, you need to go back to college. You need to go back and you need to give them back their degree that they gave you. We know that on June 14th of 2021, the 14th of June 2021, that the DCS was on the Wells property. They closed a bogus case from a bogus phone call about the children after an intense, by the book, DCS investigation. The Wells family was an accepted American family of 6 persons by sunset on the 14th of June. On the 15th of June, Summer Wells disappears. This letter is already annoying me, folks. And we haven't even gotten to the 15 points that he tries to make. The DCS reappears by using tactics of advantage to a vulnerable family. They get the signatures they want. The DCS takes the boys from the Wells home to watch over their safety. I can't help but to think what Crime Lines and Lies said this morning. Right at this point, and I got busy at work and I couldn't pay attention to what she all said about all this, but I remember this point she had said. That the way this is written basically makes it sound like what the Wells had done was call CPS, hand the boys over to babysit for them. And again, I'm paraphrasing what Brooks said this morning. But my God, those boys needed to be removed. During the search for Summer and related chaos transpiring in this traumatic event, the boys were taken to family who had no charges against. Man, you're right. They had no charges, but there sure has been one hell of amount of accusations that still have to be dealt with. No charges against them concerning Summer Wells, nor case charges of their separate home environments, as previously stated on the DCS June 14th case closure. Tim, if you have a copy of this, please post it on the website because you need to prove that point. You can't make that statement without proof of that point. The DCS had just cleared the family the day before she disappeared. It's not exactly the way it happens. The DCS worker, or even from my understanding, the DCS worker will write a final report that gets handed to her supervisor. And if the supervisor doesn't like something in there, they can reject that. And then from that supervisor, it goes on to the county, which I believe it's not Hawkins County in this case, but it would be more of like a local office or an overseeing office, which would be in Knoxville. And if they accept it, then it goes on to Nashville. And once it hits Nashville and they accept it, it's then closed. So we're skipping several steps here. Again, it's my understanding how it works. Duress by vulnerability was applied without a clear explanation or clear options concerning signing over the boys to this unelected system, taxpayer-funded, non-Amber. There we go. There it is. There's the made-up phrase of the year. The Amber Alert family that Tim Mullins wants to create a phrase of, so he can actually have a claim to fame that he coined a phrase. There is no such thing as an Amber Alert family. A child is listed as an Amber Alert, not the family. Non-Amber Alert family trained children's agency called DCS, the Department of Children's Services. These same people who have caseloads and follow-ups are public servants. They do the best that they possibly can. They are not perfect human beings, nor am I, nor are you, nor is anybody else in this world. but they have the education and training to know when there's a problem in a home. They take psychology classes. They take other follow-up training classes. They go through extensive training to be a social worker. It's actually, social services is actually a major in a lot of universities for people that want to do this exact work to help families. The boys are taken so far away that it made it nearly impossible for a grieving, fearful, panicked, Amber Alert family, oh God, there we go again, to leave work and related needed finances, leave the property due to continuing investigation and searches, drive the distance, have any quality time, and drive back safely. Tim, it's a box of tissues for you. Stop crying. It's Puffs Plus, by the way. Stop crying. The boys are taken so far away that it made it nearly impossible. While Don was in jail, Candace made the statement, while deciding to go to a concert in Nashville, mind you, in Nashville, that it was too far away, she couldn't be bothered. Oh, by the way, this is the same Nashville that she could have gone to rehab but checked herself out of, or gone to and gotten a job that probably would have paid between $5 and $10 an hour more than what she would make in the Tri-Cities, doing the same job she did in the Tri-Cities. And not been under a contract. There has been no non-cliche valid explanation why Don and Candace Wells were abruptly stopped from communicating with their boys, because they quit communicating with their boys. Irreparable harm. DCS caseworkers have changed by possibly replacement or quitting or being fired, with scrambled inconsistency or inconsistencies concerning the Wells case these past 2 years. That's actually consistent. They're going to change their social worker constantly to keep this story or any rumors of their whereabouts out of the public. That's normal. I wouldn't expect anything but. And guys, I apologize that I'm not paying attention to the chat. I'm going to stop here and just for reading that for a second and see what's going on. Hello, Green Eyes. How are you? Tissues for your issues, Tom. Tim, exactly. Justin, exactly. Puffs Plus at that. Yep. That hasn't been intentional. Who said what? That's been coincidental. I just happened to have the box of tissue sitting next to me and was like, yeah, it's perfect time for that. Well said, Rockin' Robin. The real Rockin' Robin. Well said. That paper would have been put in better use. Jazzy Jewel, I don't think that both the parents knew something all along. I actually believe that Candace knew something. Candace knows a lot, just doesn't talk about it, whether it's intentional mental block or just refuses to talk about it. And Don Wells has figured things out along the way. So I don't personally agree with the theory that Summer was gone before the 15th, but I believe there was something that happened on the 14th that was a catalyst for what happened, the events of the 15th. Molly Colley, thank you very much for joining us. Bailey, from what I understand, because of the charges against the one particular judge, right now in Hawkins County, family court is on hold. And that's not just the Wells; that's across the board. They're trying to get other judges to come in and to review and take over cases and reschedule people. Okay, going back to the letter now. This right here. Oh my goodness, that is so not true. They did not. Oh my goodness. No, 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 no. The DCS was in shambles and on June 2021 when Summer disappeared and discussion by the Tennessee legislation nearly dismantled the DC. No, there was never a discussion of dismantling DCS. The conversation always is what do we need to do to correct DCS? Is it an overhaul? Is it reorganization? Is it oversight? There was never a conversation to dismantle it, because dismantling it would absolutely cause more harm by leaving a system to not protect the children than keeping them in the system and protecting them while they fixed the problems. The taking of the boys is 99% plus based on Summer Wells' disappearance. No, it's 100% conditions of the home and the treatment of the boys. The boys were taken extremely far in distance from their home. The boys were taken from all their support groups, their friends. They didn't have friends. They were not involved in the church. Let's just stop right there and just at that first sentence, first sentence and a half. And remember that Don Wells has complained that they're being treated high on the hog and better than they could ever have done in Ben Hill. So why is this a problem? Because if you listen to what the complaint of Don Wells was about the separation from the boys and how they're being treated and taken care of, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. Yeah, okay. Finally, you get to a point, Tim. Congratulations. 1 point out of 10 so far. That actually has merit. I'm sorry. I'm not. I wanted. This is a big to do in his letter here. It's point 11. And the website's not cooperating again. There we go. No, Tim. Tim. Your investigation skills and understanding just suck. There's no nice way to say they suck. These are trained social workers. They went to college to be social workers. They're advocates for the family. They're in between the family and the state that help the family and help the children, the guardian ad litem, the court appointed special advocates. They're there to help, not hinder, not spy on, as you allege. It's the direct employees of DCS that are given the ability to judge and help the court systems judge what needs to be done. In this case, for the children. Oh, let's see here. I've said enough about the SDA church and my understanding. I'm not going to go into that tonight, folks. Because it's a can of worms to me. It's a can of worms in a 3-hour discussion. And that's actually the conversation I want to hold with Liplock one day. Because her understanding and my understanding would be a major live, a major thing that everybody would want to hear. There are charges against the Wells concerning Summer. Also, a fully investigated DCS case. The Wells family closed the day. Oh, good God. Shut up, Tim. It wasn't closed. I don't believe it was closed. Everything that Don Wells has had accused of him having done. There's open investigations that are hanging over his head. The conditions of that property were horrendous. DCS, in my personal opinion, did what was right for the boys. What question is he answering? Was he says, yes, it does not take a twisted mind to see the extent of the corrupt and or non-professional package of people that you're trying to answer a question that doesn't exist. Tim, you're answering a question that doesn't exist. The support system that the Wells children had, granted, it was their church, but home life was not good. Should have never been the way it was for those children. I just wanted to go and say, folks, every time we see DNA parents, remember that in Tim's own twisted way, he really does mean they're the sperm and egg donor, because that's all they could ever be to those children. The conditions that the children were in with their teeth, their grooming habits that I've rumored that have gone around, which were non-existent. They were raising the children were raising themselves and their parents. The new head of DCS in Nashville, Tennessee, has an Amber Alert background and hopefully can perceive the Hawkins County misuse. Oh, good God. I'm done reading this letter. I'm done. It's bullshit. The new head of DCS may have a background with the Amber Alert system, but the Amber Alert was appropriately placed for Summer Wells. It was appropriately placed for Summer Wells because not just on the basis of the description of what an Amber Alert is, that it meets the criteria of a kid missing, of a kid endangerment, or whatever, and having a description of a vehicle. Whatever the exact criteria is, I don't know. Remember off the top of my head. That's not the point. It allowed other agencies to step in and assist Hawkins County. The resources that Hawkins County would not have had were available to them because it was an Amber Alert. A naked guinea pig? No. Hair curlers in crime. I tried to keep myself tempered because tonight was a very heavy topic. I didn't want to put myself in a position of going to land up flipping out and just start going off more than what I already have. Sylvia K, you're exactly right. Little Wing, how are you doing tonight? Thank you for coming out. I appreciate you doing so. Marlena Cantu, thank you very much for coming out. I didn't see you were in here earlier. If I've missed you while I was reading, going over that document, please know that it was not intentional to be rude to you. I do appreciate you coming out. And if I missed you, hello, how are you? Um, this week has been a struggle, but it's gotten better. Tonight's gotten better. Karma's Queen, that's a good question. A very good point. TBI car team, FBI car team, they said no sign of abduction. Yet there's no sign of foul play. No sign of anything except alleged footprints. As if she walked off the property. And no, not in 2 minutes. Why people latch onto that lie, I don't know. I agree with you. I agree with you, Karma. I have a bum knee that I'm supposed to wear a knee brace. And it's not a cheap knee brace. Let me tell you, and this thing only goes from mid thigh to mid calf. There are some days where I can spend 10, 15 minutes struggling with that brace, and it never feels like it's on right. I don't believe that it took just a couple of minutes to put Candy Hare's knee brace on. Even if she did have help, if you just have that thing off just a little tiny bit, not lined up just right, it's going to put pressure on your knee somewhere, on your knee, either your kneecap, behind your knee, on the side of your knee, and it's not going to feel comfortable. I kind of agree with you, Justin. I think it's a total BS story about a knee brace. Because if Candy went to the hospital to get her knee originally checked out in the beginning of June, I don't remember the date, probably the second or the third. I don't remember the exact date off the top of my head. At that time, they said you're going to need to follow up with your orthopedic surgeon. I can tell you, I've been through this type of scenario where I've popped my knee out of place, and they go to the hospital, they pop it back in, and they tell me to wear my brace, and they give me a prescription of 800 milligram ibuprofen. And if I don't have my knee brace with me, I leave the hospital in a brace that goes from my hip to my ankle, an immobilizer. Granted, that was when I was in my late teens and 20s when all that happened, and I haven't really, knock on wood, had issues with my knee since, not majorly. But that's exactly what they would do. Go see your orthopedic surgeon. Follow up with your orthopedic surgeon or give you a list of orthopedic surgeons to follow up with. Yet she didn't. And coincidentally needs to go to the hospital again on June 15th. Barely nobody. I put it on myself. I make sure I have my knee brace. And if I'm having a bad day, my knee brace gets put on. Again, folks, there's a link at the top of the live. If you want to join me, you're more than welcome to. Alicia P. She's been on her vacation all her whole entire life, adult life. Oh, I'm sorry. You mean she? But by her splashing around in the pool? That video that came out. I have no idea where that is. Alicia P. This is the same person that's supposed to have a pacemaker. That's all I'm going to say. Who was hospitalized and quote unquote near death because her a heart condition. But miraculously and quickly, just as if it were nothing, was back to her normal routine within just a few days of being released from the hospital. Yeah, it was a professionally done in-ground pool. If you haven't seen it, it's a professionally done in-ground pool. It's got cement. It's around the edges. It's very nicely taken care of. Peter Hyatt questioned if some of those statements were CPS bias to deter folks from thinking neglect was present. Oh yeah, absolutely. They're biased against the CPS. Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and say CPS is a perfect program, but it was not as dire in my opinion as well of what they alleged, Tim alleged in his letter. Um, the workers at Sonic, but they didn't have wouldn't have had and the people that were working in Walgreens, but none of them would have been able to have like a meaningful conversation with her. Right, the tree trimmers would have seen her too. Exactly, BB Diamond. Yeah, supposedly they saw Summer as well. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. If it was another night, I'd stay on and talk longer. But I need to get myself something to eat for supper, and because I haven't eaten since I got off since my lunchtime for work. New faces, new names. Thank you for coming out and participating in the chat. I don't remember every single person that was here tonight, but I want to thank everybody for coming out and listening to what I had to say. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And also tonight, remember, this is all about Summer Moon Utah Wells. The information that's important is Summer Moon Utah Wells, 6/15/2021. Rogersville, Tennessee. White female, blonde hair, blue eyes, 40 pounds, approximately 3 foot tall. Last seen wearing gray pants, pink shirt, possibly barefoot. Please contact 423-272-7121, which is the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department. 1-800-TBI-FIND. Liplock, thank you very much. Absolutely. We are all about justice for Summer Wells. No apologies necessary for being about justice for Summer. Summer's Army does not need to apologize to anybody when it comes to the matter of Summer being missing and not knowing what happened still. Thank you for coming out tonight, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. It is 11:07 at my time. Do you know where your kids are tonight? If you do, please give them an extra hug, give them an extra kiss. Make sure they know that they are important to you. If you're not in your home, reach out to them through a text message or a phone call, because you never know just that moment of encouragement to them and letting them know that they are important to you can make a difference in somebody's day. Please be careful of who you listen to, folks. Keep Summer the focus of this investigation. Thank you for listening to Conversations Living Room. I am RJ. Have a good night, all. I'm out.